Can I Not Marry Audio Web Novel Chapter 31. The President's Darling when a certain auntie suddenly decides to visit. Originally the first few days will be most the painful days of the month for a woman, usually these was Do Lacey's most enjoyable days. However, it wasn't because there was Auntie Wu stewing her chicken with Angelica every day to enrich her blood, and the most importantly the President didn't allow her to move. It should be that advertisement slogan, more dry, more comfortable, more at ease. In fact, although Do Lacey Q is slightly low, however she didn't read romance novel for nothing. Ever since that soul-stirring night, the President have been particularly good to her. Good to what extent you say? Using this analogy, previously if she accidentally provoked the President, he would be unhappy. However now, if there was anything she was dissatisfied with she would complain a few words to old you, thus the President would accidentally hear this, he would just smile and didn't say anything further. Not even. Previously the President who always spoke to her with a straight face, she didn't know when, but he started to constantly smile in front of her, and this smile of his had no hidden conspiracies. Here's another example. Previously the President never greeted her before leaving, now every morning he would say many sentences with her before leaving. In short, the President wasn't the same as he used to be. But because of this, it has taken Do Lacey by surprise. Every time she encountered Leanne John's bottomless eyes, she couldn't help but feel nervous. Upon seeing him lean over towards her, she couldn't help but have the urge to avoid him. Even hearing his steady footsteps, her heart will involuntarily beat. So after a few days, Do Lacey who have slept good and drank heaps that she suffered from a nervous breakdown. In order to heal her mental health, Do Lacey decided to ask Baidu. The problem is like this: if someone is always very overbearing towards you, even when there's nothing he would put on a face. Also forcing you to do things that you don't want to do. But suddenly one day, he began to treat you very well, never angry towards you, instead always smiling at you, but you're not accustomed to these. Why is that? Sign. I'm annoyed, I'm bothered, I'm very superfluous and confused. After she posted this, a few hours later, a few people have replied the post. I love the corner of the earth replied, foreign affairs shouldn't be asked on Google, inner affairs shouldn't be asked on Baidu, sexual affairs such as yours should ask Tianya. Sister. Tianya welcomes you. Do Lacey, sexual affair your head. I'm really is the real one fun, one, another netizens replied, this woman, your mind is really activate. Do Lacey, if you're one fun, then I'm Han Qiaosheng too. Be careful, I'll kick you into the volley, my headbutt will kill you. President Hao replied, this is due to the radiation from the mobile phones. Quickly buy our company's phone Sapphire Mirror. It's pure Italian designer art, filled with 99 Swarovski crystal to ensure zero radiation. The price is only $999. If you forward it to 20 email, we'll even offer a $300 discount, only $699. What? Still too expensive? We'll even gift you a Bluetooth headset. Do Lacey, boss, come have a bowl of cow internal noodles. Little Whip replied, needless to say, this kind of circumstance clearly state you have a tendency to abuse, admit it. In fact, you're into SM. Do Lacey. Like this, there was well over several dozen replied. Do Lacey still couldn't solve the unanswered questions within her heart. Just as she was ready to give, another reply came through. Shanzi Celestial, in my view, the man is in love with you. When Do Lacey saw this reply, it really shocked her. The President is in love with her. How is this possible? From a hardware point of view, the President has a quarter of Italian descent, Oriental noble temperament and a sexy Westerner's body. Let's not mention his face, just his 6 abdominal muscle alone she had no idea to stop her nosebleed. While she on the other hand was bland in appearance, her figure was average, and her chest is mediocre. In short, every part of her was mediocre and average. How could the President be satisfied with her appearance? From a software point of view, there was no need to compare their family backgrounds. Besides her dad constantly boasting about him being the 48th generation descendant of Du Fu, her family didn't have anything to bring to the table. Besides, in accordance with her dad's algorithm, the President is likely to be the descendants of General Lian Po. As a result, her family didn't have any advantages. Then there's education point of view. She's only an undergraduate journalism. Naturally she couldn't compare to the President who have studied overseas. While regarding personal abilities, well, forget it. This is simply absurd and inviting humiliation upon herself. After much deliberation, in the end Do Lacey really couldn't think of what point in her did the President took fancy in. It couldn't be the President took fancy in her silly naiveness. Do, you are really too silly, too naive. The words the president spoke months ago echoed in her ears. If he says it like this, then naturally she is too stupid. Even though the last possibility has been ruled out, Du Lacey still couldn't come to terms that the president have fallen for her. He would eat her. It should be because he has eaten too many white silky tofu and occasionally wanted to change his taste, so he ate a stinky tofu. Even though he is treating her very well now, but she's afraid he's only doing so because she's still refreshing. Such a thought suddenly made Du Lacey's heart feel tasteless while her chest felt stuffy, unbearable and uncomfortable. She rolled out of bed and wore her slippers before wandering into the garden. Due to her auntie's visit, the president wouldn't even allow her to return to work. He also said that a woman's body is virtual during this time, so she should stay at home. If every time a woman needed to take time off work due to their auntie visiting, then there's a possibility that a financial crisis may arise for a period of time. At noon, during summer the weather should be scorching hot. However, it just so happens these days a typhoon have swept the city. A few patches of rain resulted in a more comfortable weather. When Du Lacey walked out of the house, Xiao Fang was in the courtyard washing the cars while Auntie Wu took her grandson Liang to play by the water fountain. Upon seeing Du Lacey coming out, Xiao Fang shivered. "Spare me, madam, don't make me drive again." Speaking of this, Du Lacey also felt really ashamed. The day she simply pulled Xiao Fang into a turmoil, causing the two of them to be stranded at the not chicken not duck village. Later, on her own she sat on a cow's cart rushing to meet the president, leaving Xiao Fang to wait for assistance. It does seem slightly excessive. But this can't be entirely blame on her. If it wasn't because the president inexplicably told her to pick him up from the airport, then Xiao Fang also wouldn't need to spend the afternoon in some remote village miserably surrounded by 30-something buffaloes. In the end it was the president's fault. Du Lacey smiled at Xiao Fang. "Xiao Fang, you be rest assured. The car towing fee I will ask the president to reimburse you." "Ah, don't." Xiao Fang said anxiously. "Madam, you mustn't tell the president that I drove you to the wrong place that day. If he knows, he'll definitely fire me. I haven't married yet." Du Lacey was a little embarrassed. In fact, the president is not so unreasonable, right? "Madam, this is where you're wrong. If it's others, the president at most would deduct my wages. However, you're different. You are the president's wife. If he finds out that I almost lost you, then I'll definitely lose my job. I'm different." Du Lacey found this unimaginable. "Yes, that's right." Suddenly Auntie Wu came over and added, "Madam, you don't know you're our young master's precious treasure." Precious treasure? From what time did this happen? Auntie Wu cleared her throat and started to ceaselessly speak. "Madam, do you still remember the first day you moved in? Was there any difference between the dishes then and now?" Du Lacey ignorantly asked. "What is the difference? Didn't you discover that the food was increasingly adjusted to your appetite?" If you put it this way, Du Lacey also felt this was indeed true, so she nodded. "It seems, sir." "It's not, it appears, sir." "It is certainly." Auntie Wu waved her hands in the air. "From the first day you moved in, our young master commanded that I pay attention to your diet, stating that every day I had to write down all the dishes like you, so you don't have to eat dishes you're not accustomed to." Once Auntie Wu finished speaking, Du Lacey was left stunned. It turned out that the president is so attentive. There's more. "Have you noticed the pillows on your bed? That moment you arrived, you suddenly mentioned that the pillow was a little too firm and couldn't get a good night's sleep. The next day your pillow suddenly became soft. That's also young master's orders that we change them at once." Pillow. Du Lacey also thought back to that day. Once she slept all the way until noon. The president was so angry that he questioned why she slept so late. She couldn't find an excuse, so she simply said pillow was too firm and couldn't drift off to sleep that evening. She didn't think such a careless excuse he would also remember. She didn't know why, but her heart felt warmth. And also when our young master sent little princess away, she was making a tearful scene, pulling our young master's sleeve, refusing to go. But our young master knew you would be angry, so he simply asked Lao Fang to carry princess to the car and send her home. So like this, Du Lacey sat in the courtyard, listening to Auntie Wu talk about the good things the president have done for her. After she finished to them all, Du Lacey felt confused. Could it be she was really heartless to such extent? When theirs was such a good president besides her, yet unexpectedly she have been constantly wary of him. Just as she was pondering, Auntie Wu has already finished her praises. "Madam, right now you are our young master's the most precious treasure." The president's precious treasure. This gorgeous title coming on top of Du Lacey's head, she felt slightly dizzy for the entire evening. In the evening, when the president returned, Upon seeing Lian Jun, Du Lacey felt embarrassed. But Lian Jun didn't care, he only said, go upstairs to change. Change clothes. Why? Du Lacey stared at Lian Jun with a confused expression. Seeing her doubts, Lian Jun lightly added, today, we're going out to eat. Old Yu and Auntie Wu's little theater. Auntie Wu, old Yu, today I exaggerated and conned madam, is it not very good? Old Yu, the first few are always true, right? Auntie Wu, but I just lied to madam, saying because she does not like to eat spicy, so young master endured not eating spicy food to accommodate her, is it too exaggerated? In fact, young master hates eating spicy food even more than madam. Old Yu, this, madam shouldn't find out. Auntie Wu, I also told madam, because she does not like drinking milk, so for a long time young master no longer drank his favorite milk during breakfast. When in actual fact, it is because young master who is allergic to milk. Old Yu,